A great feeling from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning. Now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah. What a great way to start your day. The Lakey way.
Well, it's a great way to start your day. Welcome to the program, everybody. As the choir aforementioned, my name, Jimmy Lakey, is myself, and I am he, you are you, and glad to have you here. I always said on the radio, you're in front of the speakers this morning or this afternoon for a reason, the way the good Lord intended it, and I am behind the microwave. It's too many times I've been behind the microwave. Behind the microphone the way the good Lord intended it also. Happy day. The originating date of this podcast / broadcast / streamcast is Wednesday, the 16th day of April, year of our Lord 2025. Big time radios, streamcast, television, wherever you're listening to it on your speakers in your car, wherever it is, or maybe on the smartphone, wherever you're listening. It's a pleasure to be here. And we got a big time show. Laura Carno's on the program. I know many of you have been used to having Laura Carno with me on a Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. Hump day, halfway till Friday. But Laura was busy yesterday, so she had other things going on. So she asked if she could move till Wednesday. So all of you big Laura Carno fans, it's Carno Tuesday here on the program. And Laura joins us, and I'm sure we'll get into all sorts of fun and fodder with Laura. So don't miss that. That's coming up at 30 minutes past the hour. That's about 28 minutes right now from right now. Whatever time zone you're listening in, good morning. Hello to the East Coast. How you doing out there in the you East Coast coastal elites? We appreciate you being here, and we hope you can set your hearts right with the Lord and conservatism by being a part of the program. You West Coast pot-smoking, dope-smoking hippies, get your surfboard out. It's 7:03 in the a.m. right now for you Pacific coasters, and the surf is up. Hang loose, or whatever you guys do. For you dope-smoking hippies in Colorado, please wake up, stop doing drugs, and stop electing like people like Jared Polis to the governor's office. Anyway, other than that, good morning all around. I'm glad to have you here. I mentioned I got some news stories I want to get to. Talk about what goes around comes around. Leticia James New York City famous prosecutors facing her own prosecution. Stand by for that. I'll get to that story. Also, just in time, old Joe Biden shows back up on stage. Joe Biden shows up on stage. That's exciting. I'm sure every Democrat out there's like, bring us more Joe. They let him back out in public, and somebody's going, who let the Joe out? Who? They're doing that. He stumbled. He stammered. He said, Donald Trump's bringing a hatchet to Social Security. And I'm like, I don't think Donald Trump has mentioned Social Security in the last 190 days in office. So anyway, bumbling, stumbling, poopy pants Joe was back on the scene yesterday in Chicago, had a speech to make. Rumor was he was going to really go after his staff for betraying him and stabbing him in the back. But he didn't. He has the angst, and he drooled out some words about he hates Donald Trump and things like that, and his son's a drug addict. Something like that. Some of that might have been left out. I might have made some of that up. But you know what? I mentioned, and I'll get all these news stories, I promise you. Anybody ever remember a random date? Like, your birthday, right? And April the 16th is today, right? That's not my birthday. November the 13th is my birthday. If you'd like to mark your calendar so that you can always share love and gifts to me, feel free, November the 13th. But today is April the 16th. And there's some days, like, I've told the story on Valentine's Day. I thought that Valentine's Day was always the second Tuesday of the month. I didn't realize it was always tied to a day, February the 14th. So dates get stuck in your head. April the 16th is a date that's stuck in my head. But anybody here like to guess why it's stuck in my head? Delilah, would you like to guess why it's stuck in my head? Yeah, Delilah, just don't guess anything about me, please. Would you wear that to a real workplace, Delilah? Did you just come from the stage? What? Good Lord. You dressed like a hooer. That's not appropriate for the Lakey Entertainment Towers. That's not appropriate at all. You got to put something to cover up on that thing. You got the hipster youth back in the other room. They're going to be... Yeah, don't blame me. Don't go to HR when you get commented made about that. Oh, I am HR. All right, good. April the 16th, it sticks out of my head. Go to the other room. You're in the corner of my eye, and I see things I don't care to see right now. I know it's warm outside. But it ain't that warm. There ain't a nudist colony going on here. Does your mother know you wear that in public? I hope she doesn't. All right, here we go. April the 16th. You know why it stands out in my mind? It stands out in my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most random thing. The entire morning I'm typing going, April the 16th, April 16th. It stands out in what's the date that sticks out in your mind? The random ass date that sticks out in your mind. April the 16th was the day. It was a Saturday night, and it was my senior prom. I don't know why I remember that, but that was my senior prom in high school. That's the most random fact ever. Again, I have a lot of random facts that go in my head, but April the 16th was my senior prom. There you have it. Now you know. And so every time I hear April 16th, I go, oh, that's my senior prom day. And it's been a long time since I graduated high school, but for some reason, I still remember my senior prom was April the 16th. Why does that stick in your head? What is it about April the 16th and a senior prom that sticks in your head? I can't tell you what the date of my high school homecoming dances were. The Sadie Hawkins Day, I can't tell you what day. There's not a lot of dates. I don't remember, but I remember April the 16th of my high school prom. And you're welcome. And I was quite a dapper dude. And if I would have thought of this in advance, that this was not a rabbit trail, I would have brought a photo of me at my senior prom, and you would have. Some of you cougars would have wished you would have known me now, if you know what I'm saying. You would have. You think you stumble in your walk with the Lord sometimes when you think of me now. You should have seen me then. You cougars would have. We'd have to file restraining orders on some of you. But yeah, April the 16th, my senior prom, the anniversary of my senior prom. Maybe we should get to something more serious besides my senior prom. Although I was very dapper, very, very dapper. Department of Justice is suing over men and women's sports. It is amazing. I've got a couple of stories that I just find baffling. Let's start with this one. The Democrats are out there trying to find their way. They're trying to find their message. And at every turn of the way, the polling numbers for Donald Trump remain very solid. There was, I believe it's an NBC poll earlier this week in which more Americans now than 12 months ago view themselves as MAGA, Make America Great Again. Again, they tried to use it as a slur, and more Americans, Republicans and just independents say, yeah, I'm kind of a MAGA first, America first kind of person as well. So it seems to be a growing thing, that which the Democrats tried to make you run from. People are like glomming onto it because they see the reality versus the propaganda which they've been sold on this thing. But Democrats continue to just find themselves on the wrong side of news stories, in my humble opinion. There was a news story here, and I'll get to that in just a moment, about Democrats actually going to fly, I guess, today to El Salvador to beg El Salvador to let one of those MS-13 gang members back out. He's not an American citizen. They keep portraying him as a Maryland father. We'll get to that in a story. But here's what that takes the cake. Let's take these one at a time. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has announced she's going to sue the state of Maine for refusing to ban trans athletes from girls' sports. Nearly 2 months after President Trump told Governor Janet, "I will see you in court," Pam says, "Let's take it to court. Let's get ready to tango." And they are. The U.S. Justice Department has announced a suit against the state of Maine for their defiance and violations of Title IX to keep biological males. If you're not sure what a biological male is, that's someone born with the twig and berries. Then you're a biological male. And if you don't have that, you're a biological girl. And Maine is violating what they call Title IX. Title IX, if you recall, was a law put in place back a couple of decades ago to protect and promote women's sports, real women's sports. All the glory and all the money was being spent on male sports and guy sports on college campuses, and they had to put something Title IX to where there was a little bit of equity, so the girls got a chance to be athletes as well. That's a real simplification of Title IX, but that's what it dealt with. Well, it's Joe Biden who bastardized it and says, well, we're going to protect girls' sports. It's just anybody that wants to be considered a girl can be considered a girl. And the polling numbers show that this is a bad issue for the Democrats. The polling numbers show that if you want to start making hay and building brand recognition for you in the midterm election, you need to get away from this DEI, transgender, anybody can be a girl, anybody can be a she, a he, a z, a zer, the pronoun. You got to get away from this. This was a losing issue according to exit polls this past November, and it's still a losing issue according to polls now. And yet Democrats continue to double down on stupid. And I think if you're going to sum up the Democrat Party right now, you have to say this is the party that doubles down on stupid. This is the party that is too arrogant and too pompous and too hell-bent on their issues, that they won't wake up and smell the coffee and smell the realism that America has rejected him. I think the Democrat Party right now, who is the party of boys beating up girls, this is the party where they don't mind a boy boxer punching the hell out of a girl boxer and calling it girl sports because the boy has a mental disease and has decided that he is a girl. And so he gets to, they don't mind that. The Democrat Party right now is at 21%. Now, some of you Democrats out there may be watching going, well, that's not fair. Don't call us the party of boys getting to beat up girls. Well, what else do I call you? Your party leaders, including a governor, we're not talking some fringe element, we're talking a governor of the state of Maine, is doubling down and saying, no, if you have a twig and berries and you want to go wrestle in the girls' meet, you can go wrestle and beat up a biological girl, period, the end. If you are a boy and you fail at boys' baseball and you have some mental illness and you want to go play girls' softball and scratch your crotch before you throw the ball like a boy but pretend to be a girl, you can play pretend and you can do that. And Donald Trump says we're going to protect young lady sports. And I guarantee, yeah, there's a few whack jobs out there like this governor of Maine that maybe believes it, maybe not. But they are so hell-bent afraid of the fringe of their party that they're doubling down on stupid. And President Trump finally says, I'll see you in court. And we'll see how this one plays out. But I think it's going to be an interesting way for the courts to say what the interpretation of Title IX is. So good for the Department of Justice not backing down. And there's some things you do by executive order. And I think some things you take it right back to them. They like to take Donald Trump to court. Well, let's get their asses in court. Now, if you're in the state of Maine, if you're pick any state, pick the state of Maine, the state of Massachusetts, you're here where I'm at, the state of Colorado, you're in the state of Texas, you're in the state of Nevada. When you wake up this morning and you say, hey, my tax dollars are going to go to work, and I hope in the state my tax dollars will go to this cause. Most of us can think of roads and bridges and infrastructures and potholes. In Colorado, we desperately wish somebody fix our roads and bridges around here. It's like driving in a third world country that's been blasted by landmines half the time because we are much more interested in bike trails and highways in this state because we have an idiot as a governor and fools in the legislature. I digress. But if you're waking up, whatever state you're in, you're thinking open space and parks. You'd like your park, your planned taxpayer dollars to go there. You might be actually thinking about education. You'd like the public schools to get better. You realize that in your state, like most states, for decades, the performance and the testing scores of local schools has gone down. And since COVID-19 and the booger cootie virus lockdown, the mental health of children have gone down. The academics of children, we have never returned to not just government pre-COVID spending levels. We have not returned to pre-COVID testing levels in the public schools. So when you wake up this morning and you're thinking of your state dollars, of course, I know we joke about on this show, wake up today, go to work and work hard so that we can do some circumcisions with your tax dollars in Mozambique through the USAID program. But when you wake up in your state, fill in the blank, whatever your state is, the state of Oklahoma, you're paying taxes, whether it's an income tax or a sales tax. And you're like, I hope they spend my money on fixing the education system. Is there anybody out there that says, boy, I sure hope they spend a lot of money. I sure hope they spend a hell of a lot of money fighting so that girls can get their asses kicked by boys in high school and college sports? I mean, is there anybody out there that says this is the use of your taxpayer dollars? This is what Democrats think you want your taxpayer dollars used for. I have a lead, and I'm going to follow it up. And there is a bill that has supposedly been introduced at the state legislature of Colorado. And at the state legislature of Colorado, they are taking a bill in which money that is in certain funds can be used to take lawsuits against the Trump administration. In other words, money that might have been allocated in the general fund for roads and bridges. The state legislature and Jared Polis want to take it away from that and fight court battles against Donald Trump. These are sick people, and they're doubling down on stupid, and the state of Maine is in the very brunt of that. And if you're watching us nationally in the state of Maine, love to hear from you on all the platforms. And don't forget, throughout the course of the program, comment on all the platforms. If you're in Facebook, when you make a comment, it goes poof right into the studio, and producer Chad screens those and puts them right up there, like Arloa every morning from the state of Texas. The eyes of Texas are upon. Yeah, that's right. I heard of the motherland and I wanted to sing. Arloa says, morning, everyone. Obnoxious Scott, he's up in Wyoming way. Good morning, Jimmy and Chad. Jim says good morning to all of you. He doesn't just include me and Chad. He loves all of you. Good morning from Missouri. Warsaw, Missouri, eating breakfast with my oldest son at a diner called the Rusty Skillet. Today's a beautiful day. Rich, I appreciate you listening to me at the Rusty Skillet, and I have to ask you, how's the chicken fried steak there? Yesterday, we asked the question, the best chicken fried steak in the nation, and I was getting text messages from friends and family, even last night, that listened to the show on the podcast later, and they were still animated about places that I should try to eat chicken fried steak. Evidently, there's several good places in Oklahoma that I'm supposed to go eat chicken fried steak at. So anyway, check the Rusty Skillet. Check out that. And if you, by the way, that skillet is a cast iron skillet and it's rusty, it can be fixed. Just season it, follow it. You can YouTube it or call my friend Roger or Benny. They'll come season your skillet. They always swear that my skillet is not seasoned, and I'm like, my skillet is seasoned. You don't maintain cooking temperature, and I said, you don't maintain your own business. Shut up. Leave me alone. They pick up my knives not being sharp as well. All right, good. Good to have you. Yeah, but the Democrats double down on stupid, and you just have to say, is there anybody out there in the state of Maine watching us not eating chicken fried steak, because I don't think they do that in Maine, that can testify and say, yeah, we're so happy with the state of Maine that of all the needs we have in the state of Maine, of all the ways we're going to spend the tax dollars, boy, we sure hope they wake up to spend the tax dollars to get in a law tussle so the boys with twig and berries, biological boys, can kick the butts of girls in sports and take away scholarship opportunities as well. It's bizarre, but hey, the Democrats, you're out there, defend it. This is your party. You own it. That's why your party right now is at 21%. 21% it is. Yeah, see, Roger says, and your knives are dull. I just said that. I just said, and they think my knives are dull as well. People come to my house and they just dip around in my kitchen. They're just dipping around in my kitchen. They ain't making me no food, but they're just dipping around. They do a kitchen inspection. It's like Kitchen Impossible. Let's go to Lakey's house. I thought you were coming for cigars. No, we want to check out your knives. Who does that? Who does that? I want to check. Only thing I told them is I cast iron skillet. I love it. It's great. It's healthy to cook in. It's much better than some of these slick surfaces you use. But I think if I remember, my grandma used to be able to make eggs, like fried eggs in a cast iron skillet. They slid out of there like butter. And I can make a lot of things in a cast iron skillet, and I know it's heat and things like that, but I avoid the cast iron skillet, and I don't like it, and I need a lesson in that, and got a bunch of know-it-alls, and your knives are dull. Thank you, Roger. We appreciate you jumping in there on my knives. I got a knife for you there. It's dull, though, so you're safe. All my knives are dull, so it ain't going to end badly for you. All right, so anyway, the state of Maine suing people over... Oh, okay. Rich says we interrupt this program. They're the Rusty Skillet in Missouri. They said the chicken fried steak is awesome. Tenderloin is even better. I'll have to try it now. I know their breakfast food is great. Warsaw, Missouri. I just came from Missouri. If I was close to Warsaw and missed out on a good chicken fried steak, I apologize. I was in the St. Louis area. I'm not sure where Warsaw's at. I'll have to look it up. Okay, by the way, let's go to another story of Democrats doubling down on stupid. You've got the transgender, confused mentally ill boys allowed to compete in girls' sports, crappy boy athletes allowed to compete in girls' sports and really risk their lives. There's another double down on stupid. You just can't make this stuff up. There is a U.S. senator, I believe from Connecticut, that has decided today he's going to catch an airplane and he wants to head out to El Salvador and try to plead and beg for the release of a terrorist, an MS-13 terrorist. Now, I think if you've been following this story of this guy from Massachusetts, they keep saying that he's a Massachusetts daddy and he just wants to come home and he just wants to be a good father. Well, this guy has been found by two different judges to be an MS-13 member, confirmed by the El Salvadorian government that he is an MS-13 member. And the judge says you got to bring him home, not so he can be reunited with his children or his child or his baby mama, but so that he can go be deported somewhere else. In other words, the court says, well, we ruled that he'll be in danger in El Salvador. And so because he'll be in danger in El Salvador, so it would be kind of funny if they shipped him back here and we say, okay, you're going to Haiti. You're going to go to Antarctica. You're going to send him somewhere else then. But the Trump administration says he's already there. He wasn't our problem to begin with. We deported him. We did not take an innocent Massachusetts father. This is not how it happened at all. And stop presenting it to be that way. Now you've got Democrat senators going to fly down to El Salvador. Anybody remember the publicity stunt that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the lady who's absent of her cerebral cortex, I think, Alexandria, the barmaid, remember she went down in all white, dressed up like she was a KKK member and stood at the border. And when the cameras went on her, she got down in the position to where she was ripping her soul out to see a fence. She saw the fence, and she saw that MS-13 gangbangers and rapists could not come across any longer. She saw that fentanyl could no longer freely flow across that border. She saw that we had a part of a fence up. This was in Trump's first administration, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the barmaid, stood there and she wept because she saw a fence that prevented her friends in Tren de Aragua and MS-13 from coming across. See, the Democrat parties have become the party of the mentally ill, supporting boys that are mentally off and want to compete and beat the hell out of a girl. In some places, you would call that violence. You'd call, if it happens in a marriage, you'd call that domestic violence. But hey, Democrats are okay with boys beating the hell out of girls in sports, boxing, Olympic, it doesn't matter. Democrats aligned themselves, and I'm not speaking hyperbolically. You look at their policies. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez weeps when she sees a fence. Why are you weeping? Because illegals can't come across the border? Because fentanyl can't flood the streets? Is that your goal there, Alexandria? I thought you liked people hooked on the booze. I didn't know you liked the fentanyl that much. You're a barmaid, after all. You like the Tren de Aragua folks coming into town? You like the MS-13? Again, the Democrats find themselves doubling down on stupid, and now you have a group of U.S. senators, specifically one from Connecticut, heading down to MS-13, and I guarantee you there's going to be a photo op. They're going to have a photographer there, and this guy's going to look like he's going to be torn up. I wonder if he's going to strike the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pose and break down as if someone is ripping out his innards because of the pain of seeing these gangbangers behind bars. Again, look at the poll numbers. Look at what the polls say that Donald Trump has accomplished at our southern border, and look at the polls, and you will say it's amazing what has happened at our southern border. I heard the poll this morning that at our southern border, the crossings, there have been no 2 days in the Trump administration, no month in the Trump administration that has matched to what just 1 or 2 days would happen in the Biden administration. Nothing. It's not even close. We have literally shut that border down. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was upset, but the polling numbers, again, double down on stupid, show that they want to keep on doing that same kind of nonsense. So keep doubling down on stupid. All right, anybody remember the old adage, what goes around comes around? The biblical verbiage of that is you reap what you sow. Well, here we go, my friends. Leticia James. Anybody remember Leticia? She's the radicalized prosecutor, attorney general in New York, and she ran an entire campaign for election about how she wanted to lock Donald Trump up. Maybe she wanted to just have him killed. She wanted to have him flogged. Her whole campaign was about how much she hated Donald Trump. She was New York's attorney general. Well, excuse me, I don't have a cough button. In documents obtained by Fox News, the Ingram Ingalls, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, also known as FHFA, sent a criminal referral to the Department of Justice accusing Leticia James of mortgage fraud. Well, hell's bells, what goes around comes around. Old Leticia has been hit with shocking allegations accusing her of mortgage fraud. The FHFA director, again, I'll say that again, that is the Federal Housing and Finance Agency, sent in a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi that Leticia James appears to have falsified records to meet certain lending requirements and to receive favorable loan terms. Pulte cited a property in Virginia that Leticia James allegedly claimed as her principal resident, and a property in New York she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of 5, which he said meant she was able to get a different and more favorable loan. In response, a spokesperson for Leticia James' office says that she has been focusing every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are. Fox News contributor and George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley told Fox News' Laura Ingram that the irony of Leticia James getting accused of falsifying records is perfectly crushing. He says this is a person who prosecuted Trump for everything short of ripping a label off a mattress. And among the charges that were in New York, and it just to put the criminal case was making false misleading statement to financial institutes. That was in Leticia James' charges against Trump. As for James, if we apply the Leticia James standard that she created, there would be little question here that this case is pretty straightforward, according to Jonathan Turley. So what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. I don't want the weaponization of the justice system, but if she lied on some loan documents, and then she's probably going to get a little trouble here. We shall see how it plays out, but we shall see that Leticia James now has a referral from the Federal Home Finance Association to the Justice Department saying you should file charges because she has been a naughty, naughty girl. Speaking of naughty people, anybody see the story? It's a rumor on the internet. I'm trying to follow it, that former Biden official and the confidant of the Democrats and hater of Donald Trump, John Brennan, supposedly John Brennan has fled the country. There's no evidence that the Department of Justice is investigating him. It's just an internet rumor that some pretty prominent people have been circulating, and I'm not circulating the rumor at all. I'm telling you this is a rumor. They have been stating it as fact, and I wanted to spell it maybe because if you're going to flee the country, I'm thinking you're not going to go to Australia, and supposedly he's fled to Australia and seeking residency there. Now, I hate to say it, if by chance, and I don't expect it, if by chance there were ever charges filed against him, there's an extradition treaty, I believe, with Australia. That's not a safe place to necessarily end up at if you're going to try to avoid some prosecution. But it is an internet rumor. And one of the persons that put it out there has been circulating it. I will not say the name, but has actually floated a couple of these things before. And you're like, oh, that's too rich to be true. And then suddenly it ends up being true. So watch that. Anybody hear that rumor? It's circulating and percolating on the internet that John Brennan has fled the country. And I don't know if that's true. It's a rumor. I'm just telling you it's a rumor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we mentioned this past week we made a big change on the program, and that is our Patreon page has gone. It's still up. We're going to phase that out. All the charges stopped about a week and a half ago on that. So we stopped charging people. We're going to make sure they don't get charged again. And now we've taken all the content there and we're putting it out free, and there's no more paywall. Instead, we're making a play to grow the numbers, and the numbers are going to be grown by podcasting. And so this is what you're watching now. If you're watching us live on a Wednesday morning, glorious day the Lord has made, the anniversary of my senior prom in high school, you got to watch the earlier part of the show for that. 16th day of April. You're watching it live, 10 to 11 or so on the East Coast, 8 to 9 on the Mountain Time. You get the idea. And then within a couple of minutes of the show being done, it will be launched out on all the Spotify. It'll be on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. All the podcast platforms will have this show. And just go to and download it. We're doing actually really well for like 3 days into the podcast on downloads, and we'd love to have you do that with us. It's just a great way to spread the word and for you to be able to watch it in a more convenient time. So all of your favorite platforms, go there, listen to it, like it, download automatically so you never miss it. Now, it's the audio version only, and so that's okay. If you want to watch the video, you come and watch the live stream, and those are always stored at Rumble and YouTube as well, so you can always watch the video. But one of the things we're also putting up are not just the Daily Show, but all the interviews that used to be behind the paywall are starting to matriculate out there onto the new podcast page. And this is one that I dropped last week, and this is called Worth a Shot. The guest I had was Brian Presson. And you got to watch this interview if you've ever had a question about what happened during the booger cootie virus and the Dr. Fauci lies and the pharmaceutical stories that were told about getting the certain shots in your arm. So it's probably one we cannot air much of. As a matter of fact, with every excerpt that I'm about to play you, I said, producer Chad, is that going to get a shutdown off the tube that starts with a U? And he says, I don't think so. But it could. You never know. But this is it's her story. She's a mom from the Rocky Mountains of actually Utah. So that's still Rocky Mountains, right? She said Rocky Mountains. And she was of a certain political persuasion that she said, well, to get everybody back to normal and so my kids can get out and play and not have to social distance, I'm going to go be a clinical trial. And so she allowed herself to become a human push pin, a pin cushion. Thank you. There's the word, a pin cushion. And within a few minutes of it, she tells a story in this interview. It's about 30, 45-minute interview. She tells a story of what started happening and the long journey that caused. And then she found out she wasn't alone. And she found out that people were being lied to. The things she was experiencing were not being reported in certain reports. And I'm going to be careful on my words here because for the live show, for hear it all, you need to go to the stream. Go listen to this interview. It's up there now, Brian Presson. And this is just a small bit of it. And I think this is let's just see where it starts.
At the beginning of the.
This is where I asked her. This is how I asked her, how'd you get involved in this thing? How'd you become a pincushion? Here's what she said.
Was just a healthy mother of 2 young kids. As a preschool teacher, we live in the Rocky Mountains, so we were thriving here, teaching the kids to love the outdoors, skiing, hiking, mountain biking, and everything in between. It was a wonderful life. And then just like everybody else, COVID shut us down. And from that point, we ended up needing to, try to figure out how to help our kids evolve in the situation. They had a hard time with it, not being able to see their friends and their family. And so I wanted to help get us all out of the pandemic as fast as possible. So I enrolled in a clinical trial for the COVID vaccine here in the United States.
And that's her story. She did it because she was the one. In my neighborhood, the kids all still played together. We didn't separate anybody. We still had house parties, and the kids all played together. I had the CEO of a hospital chain that lived next door to me, and every day when everybody's going crazy, I saw him out there, or his kids and his wife out there playing at the neighborhood play dates. The kids were dressed up as firefighters, 4 and 5-year-old boys. I'm like, well, if the executive of the hospital chain group is not worried about it, I ain't worried about it either. But obviously, she was walking in fear and trepidation. And let me give you a little bit more of this snippet of an interview. And this is I don't know what part this is. Just a little bit more of what she found out. I think this is it.
Silver lining is.
No, that's the silver lining. Let's do the other one. This is the one where she talked about she started to discover that what they were giving her and the problems she was having were not being reported in the injury report websites, and it wasn't showing up. They were not reporting the truth. Here she goes.
Injured physicians that were all there to share our stories and get the ball rolling on investigating these adverse events. Peter Marks skipped out of that meeting because he was approving Comirnaty that day, the booster, and he was doing press work with all of the media to make sure that people were consuming the booster. So instead of dealing with the Americans that were suffering from the fallout of his vaccine program, he was very much involved in promoting these products, he went out, skipped out on that, and decided to go help Comirnaty, which was Pfizer.
So you got to watch it because it's interesting. I got to go to Laura Carno here, but she's fascinating in the fact that she names this Peter Marks guy several times. And I said, you mentioned in the interview, I say, you mentioned Peter Marks a couple of times. She goes, oh, yes, I do. And in a couple of weeks, I'll have her back on because they are launching a website about Peter Marks. And he was somebody in the NIH, then the upper chain of the Fauci world, that was one of the most complicit in this whole thing. And she's got audio recordings. That's all I can say. She's going to drop the hammer on this guy. And it's going to be very interesting to see what they find out about what we find out about Peter Marks, because he was one of the most complicit ones, that even though they were presenting him facts, he was out doing pressers, doing things about go get this shot because it's all going to be good and everybody's going to love you and you'll never have to do anything again. You're pretty much immune. And by the way, here's another question. I'm going to go to Laura Carno. She's usually with us on Tuesday. Now she's here with the Wednesday. I know some people that regret getting that thing, the poke. I know some people that regret it. Of all the people I know that didn't get it, nobody regrets that. Isn't that kind of interesting? We were told you will regret it. This is going to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated. There's all lies. We went through this yesterday. It's all lies. And I keep bringing this up every day because I think 5 years ago to this day, we were in the throes of chaos, the throes of idiocy, the throes of politicians like Jared Polis, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, all these backcrap crazy libtard governors out there lying and perpetrating lies, selling the gospel of Fauci, their Lord and Savior, Anthony Fauci. And they were doing all this, and it was not true. What they were saying is it's untrue. It's not scientific. It was made up out of whole cloth, if you will. It was pulled out of an orifice of their body. And they should never be forgotten what they did. And you hear Brianne Presser's story. She actually talks about that she's found a silver lining in it. But at the time, she was not. She thought people like you and I were conspiracy theorists, and she was going to go take one for the country. She's like Betsy Ross. She's going to make a flag and be a pincushion. And she ended up getting screwed by liars in the government. And they were allowed to lie because of the big companies that are out there. Anyway, if you go watch it, it's free now. And just go to Lakey Unleashed on the podcast platforms. All right, she's usually with us on a Tuesday. Now she's with us on a Wednesday this week. But she had to change her date. And also, Steve Laffey is traveling Europe and a little bit discombobulated. So Laura Carno steps right in, and we get to talk with Laura. It's Carno Tuesday. Good morning, Laura Carno.
Hello. I am not traveling in Europe. I'm not as fancy as Steve Laffey.
Neither of us are. Producer Chad and I were talking and said, well, it must be nice out there, Stevie. That's what happens. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
April 16th.
Yes, that's a day. I was going to ask you, do you have weird dates that stick in your head?
Not past like my husband's birthday or things like that.
That's not a weird date. Your husband's birthday is not a weird date.
I know. No weird birthdays, but do you know whose birthday is today?
Who is it?
Is for people who are in Colorado, the House Minority Leader, Rose Puglisi, who is a good long-term friend of mine, fellow LPR grad. It is her birthday today. So she is fighting the good fight against the bat crap crazy Democrats at the state legislature on her birthday.
Rose Puglisi, happy birthday. No, it's too late to send me down there in the birthday cake. I'm not going to go. I don't want her to be too distracted. So I'm the only person that has a random date. I don't remember high school. I think graduation is the 28th because it was always the 28th anywhere, but I just don't remember it. It was Memorial Day weekend, but April 16th, for some reason, it sticks out in my head every year. I'm like, oh, high school prom. I'm like, and it wasn't even that great of a high school prom. I went to the after prom party to school. It's not like I went out and party and had some epic night. I had a little date and played some bingo at the after party at the school, after prom, and then I went home, and it was a Saturday night, and I remember I had to wake up, and my parents still made me go to church the next morning, and I'm like, oh God, I just got to bed.
Naturally.
So yeah, I had to go to church.
Yeah.
April 16th.
We have to see that picture.
I'll find it.
I'll find to see that picture.
The Cougars would go crazy in this audience. We got a lot of those, what I'm saying. They go nuts.
Yeah, little Mrs. Robinson. So, Jimmy,
I'll find it.
I am excited that you are on all the podcast platforms because I consume mostly audio, whether, I'm driving or at the gym or, whatever. I consume mostly audio. I am thrilled that I get to hear more of Lakey.
You get all the daily shows and all the interviews. So the interviews that we've been hiding behind the paywall. I mean, it's amazing. In 3 months of doing this thing, we had like almost 30 interviews up there. We were hammering out interviews on the podcast, and we're putting all those out. And some of them are kind of outdated now, but we're putting them out. And all interviews, future moving forward, will be there. And we also, Laura, on the Critical Mission podcast, have big changes coming to that one as well. Which this is about politics. That's about purpose. So that's gonna be fun.
Yes, I love that
Laura,
one too.
You mentioned the state legislature. Since you and I were together last, our governor, Jared Polis, bonehead that he is, in my humble opinion, decided that he was going to sign a bill that puts us in one of the most restrictive gun laws in the nation. Some people were wagering that he wouldn't even have the courage to sign it. He would just let it sit there and become law. He signed it. I said the best thing about him signing it, he might have extracted himself from any national discussion to be the president and a candidate. What do you think?
I think what he's going to try and do on that, and for folks not in Colorado, what it did is said, this big block of guns, they're all banned unless you submit to all of this training, which I would translate to absolute hoops on fire for law-abiding citizens. One path is jump through hoops on fire to get to your self-defense firearm. The other path is be a criminal and don't pay any attention to it, which always happens with gun laws anyway. And so I think what he's going to say is, we didn't ban them. We just did some common sense training requirements. Make no mistake, wherever you are in the country, this man is going to run for president. He is going to put his spin on it, saying that we're all in favor of education, right? We're all in favor of gun safety, right? This was not a gun ban. And it is up to Coloradans and those of us living under this regime to be very obvious when we talk to everybody nationwide, all of our friends and family. That is not true. It is a de facto gun ban, and it hurts the poorest among us the worst. It is very, very bad. Remember when he said that he was a libertarian and he handled the lockdowns in a very libertarian manner? Those of us here in Colorado remember when he told us to stay home, when he told us that we were selfish bastards if we went outside of our homes.
That's a quote. He used the phrase selfish bastards.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, am I allowed to say that on your new platform?
Oh, you can say worse than that. I'm just saying that's a real quote. We're not just, you can say, you can drop all sorts of bombs on this show.
Yeah, a literal quote. I'll try and keep away from the other bombs. Just because. So but he signed it. There were over 90,000 people who signed petitions from various gun rights organizations. I signed one of them myself, telling him the reasons why he shouldn't sign this thing. And he signed it in a closed door ceremony, by the way. No big, news fanfare and no celebration. It was a closed door signing ceremony.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So again, we're going to keep warning you folks out of state. If Jared Polis decides to put his name out for the presidency of the United States, we will remind you that he did dupe a lot of folks. I know a guy that's pretty conservative, libertarian conservative, that actually voted for him in term one because he thought for sure he was going to be able to get raw milk. And that was his one issue, raw milk. And he's still now 6 years later going, I'll never vote for that Sacagawea again. I don't have any raw milk because it's banned in Colorado. So.
Well, here, as a milk consumer myself, and I just call it milk, I have made acquaintances with my local dairy farmer, and I have purchased a piece of a cow. So I have a herd share. And so once a week, I go pick up the production from my portion of that cow.
So I heard you get a side of beef, a half cow or stuff. So if you're getting the milk from that, so you're like getting one teat. You get that teat's yours, that teat's theirs. Everybody gets a teat.
However you'd like to say that, Jimmy. Of course, that's how you would say
that. and just in your honor, I don't know if you can see my title because you're probably away from your computer. Producer Chad has had this up 2 weeks and I haven't noticed it. My headline today is I'm called the Adorable Incorrigible right there on the screen.
You are completely incorrigible, but somehow adorable.
Somehow you get a teat. I get a teat. Everybody gets a teat at the dairy farmers. It's like a timeshare.
Well, I mean, it's very similar. I own a portion. There's a whole contract. I own a portion of this particular cow named Legacy. And once a month or once a week, I pick up a gallon of milk, and that's my share of the cow. So while raw milk is illegal to buy in grocery stores, capitalism has found a way around that.
Yeah, but you live more remotely. This guy doesn't. He's like, I don't want to drive an hour, and so he'd have to live out of the city. So it works out. But I'm just thinking of their maintenance, like a homeowner's timeshare, or their maintenance fees on the teed, or their bills, HOA fees. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have that week on that teed. You have that teed. I don't know. Let's move on before I become less of an adorable incorrigible.
Before you're completely incorrigible and not at all adorable.
Oh, it never happened. You ought to see that prom picture. Whoo, good Lord. And
you got to show that. You got to show that.
I was doing some stuff at my mother's house in Texas, helping her to move, and just long story. But I found my high school senior portfolio and of my senior shots. They're pretty good. They're fantastic.
We have to see those too. I mean, you have to bring out the adorable part of adorable incorrigible by showing us all of your high school pictures.
People stumble in their walk with the Lord. They will. I don't want that to happen. It's the Holy Week, Easter. Laura, for God's sake, it's Easter Sunday. We don't want anybody to do that. I could be struck dead here. Jim says my share of a cow would probably be the produced fertilizer. Great for gardens.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim.
Do you get a share of that for your tomatoes and fertilizer?
I don't. We have our own compost here just from the masses of green waste we have in our garden. So
okay. Lord, let's talk yesterday. Speaking of incorrigible, they trotted out old Joe Biden to Chicago, and he made a speech, and it was a cluster mess, or if we wanted to drop bombs, it was a cluster F. The music is introduction playing like a WWF fighter, and he doesn't wait for the music to stop, and so he mumbles for about a minute while the music is still playing. No one can hear him. And it was interesting what he said. It's like he has the same campaign speech from 4 months ago. Donald Trump is taking a hatchet to Social Security. I don't think Donald Trump has even mentioned Social Security. But anyway, give me your thoughts. Joe Biden bumbles and stumbles and rumbles back in public yesterday. And so far, I haven't found anybody that impressed.
Yeah, I'm wondering around what conference room table did that sound like a good idea? I just don't know the reason for him coming out. I think, there had been so much in the news lately with President Trump getting his physical, including a cognitive test. And, according to him, nobody's ever scored as high on the cognitive test, of course. But for a guy his age, I mean, he's in remarkable, physical and mental shape, given the stresses of his job. But there were some side stories about how his cognition compares to the cognitive abilities of the former president, Joe Biden. And so I don't know if it was bring out, so the weekend at Bernie's thing, bring out Uncle Joe and prove that he's still fogging up a mirror. I'm not sure if that was the reason, but it was a very bizarre choice to say, gosh, the Democrat Party is in shambles. Their approval ratings are in the mid-20s.
Yeah. Let's
bring out Joe Biden, who ruined everything for us. That's a great idea. I just don't get it.
It was really bizarre that he trots out there, still makes no sense. And I'm sure that the Democrats who are desperately trying, and as I said in the opening part of the show, they're hitching their wagon to all the wrong horses here. And so we're already looking at them on immigration, we're already looking at them at visiting El Salvadorian prisons, we're already looking at them on transgender sports and say, you guys are all screwed up. Oh, by the way, here's Joe Biden to put the icing on the cake and remind us how screwed up you are. I mean, it can't be helpful.
Right. There's all these 80-20 issues, Jimmy, that seem to completely defy politics, and that's things like, should women be competing against men in women's sports? Just all of those kinds of things. All these 80-20 issues, why are Democrats continually on the wrong side of them, unless they're being completely run by the furthest left elements of the party? Because if you've got an 80-20 issue, you've got like 30% of Democrats at least who are saying this is a terrible idea, similar to like abortions up to the date of birth, is another 80 plus issue. There's lots of them out there, and I just don't, as a political observer and sometime political strategist, I just look at these things and say, what is going on behind closed doors when they're having these discussions? I don't understand it.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I hope they keep up the confusion. I think it's fantastic for us, but it is really just some bizarre behavior by these Democrats. And keep it up there. Keep it up. We appreciate you doing it. Laura, you sent me one more story that I'm going to let you do the setup on. It's just quite fascinating. I read it this morning and I started laughing. I'll let you tell the story and the news clip. I'll let you do it all.
Sure. So I have a column in my Twitter. I have it organized by different national news, local news. I have a whole column for Doge because I am fascinated by what's going on with Doge. And there's a Doge Twitter account. There's Doge HHS. There's Doge. All the different cabinet departments. It has its own separate Doge handle. So I can kind of go through these and see what happened yesterday in these different departments and what are they finding. So one of the things, and this was on the main Doge account, so it's sort of more of a global finding, there are 4.6 million government credit cards that are active. They have so far deactivated 470,000 credit cards that weren't assigned to people who worked there. I really hope they're digging into what was spent on them. And Elon Musk further commented on it and said that it's twice the amount of people who are in the federal government. How in God's name does this happen? And when I retweeted it, I said, if this had happened in a company, they would be shut down for financial malfeasance, having all of these instruments out there in the hands of God knows who. That at best you can say, okay, it was laziness. Somebody quit the organization, quit the department, and nobody canceled their P card, their purchasing card. Laziness, bad process, whatever. But what I'm really concerned about, and I know what you're probably thinking too, what did these cards purchase? Are they some of the terrible types of things we saw in the expenses uncovered at USAID, for example, that were used for terrible things that we as taxpayers do not want our hard-earned money going to?
It's a stunning number. When you sent it, I kind of laughed and said, "This is crazy." Elon sums it up: twice as many credit cards are issued and active than the total number of government employees. And that was how many million? You said 4-something million
4.6.
credit cards. 4.6 million credit cards out there operating, and they're down to what 10%. I guess they have maybe deactivated. They're still digging for it, but. Keep on digging, Doge. That's the kind of waste, fraud, and abuse. And again, I think a lot of this stuff, they do need some prosecutions. We need some people to be held accountable. Whether you're still cashing grandma's Social Security check 20 years after she passed, or whether you're using a credit card illegally. Listen, it's not right. I still, for years, for months after I was cut from iHeart, I had to beg, plead, and borrow and steal to get cut off their social media feed. We joked and said we should just run our stream on their social feeds because I couldn't disown them myself. They had to disown me, but I have too much integrity to do that. We would not stream on the iHeart pages, even though nobody could figure out how to get me off of them. There's other instances like that you're just like, most people would have integrity and hand those cards in, slice them up, and hopefully they may be active and some people return them. But if people have been using those with a lack of integrity, there should be some price to pay.
Yeah, it's theft and fraud, just depending on how they were used, I would think. I know that we've got some amazing district attorneys here who, if they were in those federal positions, would be going after them. I hope that the federal prosecutors are going to go after those folks with the same intensity. I love your Leticia James story. That's some really good Schadenfreude there.
What goes around comes around. All right, Laura Carno, it's been a pleasure. The next couple of days, I'm working to get some of our Colorado gubernatorial candidates on. I think Mark Baisley's declared, Greg Lopez has declared. Sometime in the next couple of weeks, you and I have to kind of give an analysis of the horses lining up in that race. But I'm going to try to get both of those guys on if they're watching. I'm going to reach out to you this week. And anybody else, if you're running out there to try to replace the repair the state after Jared Polis has destroyed it, I'll be reaching out to you for all of you gubernatorial candidates. And Laura and I will start breaking that down in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Laura Carno, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I am your adorable and cordial. I'll never forget it. And I appreciate you hopping on I got to find the right button here so I can take her off the screen. There it is. I got a lot of windows open. Laura Carno, lauracarno.com. Find her at fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. She helps protect the school children of Colorado from bad people and people that want to show up on campus and do harm. They help train school districts and schools to have trained staff members that know how to protect kids with weapons, and they do a lot of great training. They do a lot of great work, and you can donate to keep the kids' school safe at fastercolorado.org, fastercolorado.org. Hey, let's do this. I got a question of the day, and I'm going to come back and read some of the answers, but here's while we watch this little break, here's a question of the day, and I totally spaced it. It's spring cleaning time, right? Everybody wants to do a little spring cleaning on occasion. Well, they did a survey about spring cleaning, and there was a spring cleaning poll found that if you haven't converted your garage into an Airbnb yet, that's funny, there's a good chance it's full of junk. 31% of Americans say their garage is at least half filled with clutter. That's 9% who say it's so full they can't park in it. Let's say if you got a 2-car garage, are you one of these 31% that say it's half full of clutter so you can only get 1 car in your 2-car garage? 24% say their garage is clutter-free. 23% it's around quarter full of clutter. And the remaining 23% say they don't have a garage, so they can't be polled. The polls just shows us basically that a lot of our home space is being wasted for storage. So here's what I want you to know. I want you to confess, in what shape is your garage? Do you have a pristine garage in which it's used to park cars, and maybe your little workshop and it's really pristine? Or is your garage a holy hell nightmare? How many of you are using half of your garage or more for storage of crap that you really don't need any longer, but you're too sentimental to get rid of it? Everybody do your garage confessions. That's our question of the day. Can you fit cars into all the spaces in your garage, or is it full of crap? Question of the day. Comment on all the platforms. We'll come back for some answers here in just a moment. It's Lakey Unleashed. Stand by. More to come.
1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning is on call 24/7, even on weekends and holidays. We pride ourselves in our on-time guarantees. In addition to installation and repairs, we offer maintenance services. So no matter when you need us, you can always count on 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning to keep your system running. Check out our family of brands for all of your service needs, including electrical and plumbing.
Our heating and air conditioning.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
All right, your question of the day is out there. Welcome back to Lakey Unleashed. Don't forget, if you miss, if you're listening to this on the podcast streaming platforms, good morning to you and good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to it. And don't forget, if you ever want to watch the live stream, we broadcast live several Facebook feeds. Good morning, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page, facebook.com, Red Wave America, the Media Equalizer, Twitter, X, Rumble, YouTube, wherever you're listening. We're glad to have you. And if you're on the podcast platforms later in the day, you can always watch us live. Go back, and the live shows are stored in video form on all the platforms aforementioned, so you can go back and see it if you want to see more than just the audience of it. Anyway, good to have you here. Just saw that commercial with Corey Clinton, 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. And you know what it's time for? And I use this as another plug. This is the time of year, I'm just giving you a heads up, that I have what we call maintenance check done. I have Corey and the team, his people come out, great text, and they'll come out and do a maintenance check. I need to it's on my list to get scheduled this week. And they will just make sure the air conditioning's ready to rock and roll, ready to move. And because you know what happens? It's going to break down on the worst day of the year, the hottest day of the year. And if you do that maintenance check, you're going to increase the likelihood or decrease the likelihood of a breakdown, increase the likelihood that you won't have a breakdown on the hottest day of the year when that air conditioning is really running. Yes, if you're in Colorado, listen to me, 1 Hour Heating and Air, 855-1-HOUR or 1hourheatandair.com/Jimmy Lakey. Schedule a maintenance check. Tell them I told you to be in touch with them. And that's what I'm going to do. I've used it every year, twice a year before the heating season and the cooling season. I have them do the maintenance check on the systems here. And they'd love to help you as well. 1hourheatandair.com/Jimmy Lakey, 855-1-HOUR. All right. We have a question of the day. It's about your garages. And I'm going to get just one confession. Our Lois says we could park 2 vehicles in our 3-car garage in Colorado. That's pre-Texas. Roger says, I have lounge chairs and a wood-burning stove in my garage for cigar smoking in cold weather. Cars can sit outside, but I understand the priority of the cigars there. I really do. Jim says my share of they already did that one. All right. So the confession is, at your home, do you use your garage as a garage, or is it simply a storage unit? And if this is we need a psychiatrist to look at this. I find it just amazing as everywhere you go, you pop up these storage units. And so people pay their mortgages, they pay their rents, they pay whatever. They have let's say 3-4 car garage, 2-car garage, or what have you. And they can't get a car in it, or let alone half the cars they should be able to get in there. But everywhere you go, their garage is full and they're renting storage space somewhere. It really is unbelievable how much crap you and I here in America have. And it's our right to have it. And I'm guilty as well. I've got crap here. I've got a crap. Now, let me give my garage confession. I'll give my garage confession. Right now, I have 1 car in the garage, but that's all I have. Is 1 car. I have 1 automobile, so he gets in the car. Now, I'm about to get another car, and when I do that, I do have to do some cleaning. And here's my confession, is years ago for Rivers Promise, my charity, we used to have a storage unit. We don't have offices per se. We do all of our stuff remotely to save expenses. And so we used to have a storage unit. Well, it was costing a lot of money. And so I donated part of my garage for storage. And so for years, every sign that gets brought in from a golf tournament, everything gets stacked up in my garage. And sometimes over time they clutter up the place, and I will volunteer my time, as I do so often, to clean that up here real soon. I've been traveling so much. It's on my list to do is I got to get out and clean up the garage for the spring cleaning. Jim's commenting out there. He's on a Facebook feed. Jim says, my wife's garage is stuffed to the max with all the stuff she cannot part with. It has not had a car in there for a few years. That's what does that say about us as a culture, that we have so much crap that the car is probably the most large investment that we have outside of a home. You pay a lot of money for it. A lot of you finance those things for years, and you're driving a car, and that car gets left outside because you need your every bit of clothing your baby ever wore and every toy ever. It's just really just. I have to say I'm kind of that way. I have now my basement. I've got storage in the basement as well, but a lot of that stuff's not mine. I had a family member that asked if they could put some stuff in my house because they have so much crap. So but other than that, my basement's almost clear now. I think that there's some things down there, but we've done a lot of cleaning down there. But my garage, I've got to work on the garage and make room. But again, that's I justify it because it's not like I'm storing crap out there. It's the fact that it's the charity stuff. And I got some shelving out there that things need to be reorganized. And every time we have an event, I haul stuff off to the event for Rivers Promise. So my garage is being used for charity storage. And sometimes at the end of a golf tournament, you have hundreds of signs or dozens of signs out there, this hole sponsored by, or directional signs. So those all get dumped in my garage. And usually they're not stacked to the best of their ability. And that's where the mess is right now. There is a section of my garage that does have to be cleaned up. Now my son's been off to school for now a year, almost 2 years. He graduated high school. There are some sections in the garage that are still kind of his. For instance, when all of his high school buddies would bring like folding chairs to sit out by a fire pit, we had chairs, but they were extra that they could all gather around there. So there's some folding chairs that probably can all just go to the trash because after 2 years, if those families have one of those back, I don't want them. So I need to do some garage cleaning, but I can get cars in there, and I can get cars in there. Indeed, I can. So anyway, confess, everybody, confess. Somebody says we went from a 3-car garage in Colorado to no garage in Texas. We have a nice carport here. You do the carports in Texas. My grandparents had a carport growing up because they just need to protect from the heat and the hail, not necessarily the snow and the blizzard. But yeah, they had a carport growing up. I know what the carport is. So anyway, confess your garage sins. We'd love to hear them. And you're not alone because, again, the majority of people in this poll are quite fascinating. Anybody remember? Somebody messaged me a second ago. Where did it go? I buried it here under the paper. There was a. I think it was at a garage. There was your garage was where your car went, and I think there was a commercial about. So it was an internet commercial I've seen. Maybe it's old, but I remember somebody trying to find their car in the garage and buried behind Christmas stuff. It was spring cleaning. What's the area that you're going to focus on? Is the garage part of it. And for me, yes, hear ye, the garage is part of it. So spring cleaning, 9% of people cannot get any car in their garage because it's full of junk. And I don't judge, but that's probably ridiculous. And I want a psychotherapist to analyze what it is about Americans that have so much crap that we just aren't willing to part with. And we have all the photos and all the memories on our phone, and yet we also need the tangible memories. And I've got plenty of scrapbook items myself that I've kept for my son. And I'm like, am I ever going to make a scrapbook out of this? I don't think so. So why do I have it all? I don't know, but we keep it all. And sometimes it starts piling up in the garage, and some of you cannot get even a car in there. So the poll shows that we also use a significant portion of our home, at least 100 square feet outside of the garage. You take another 100 square feet for storage in your home, and some people take more than 500 square feet in their home, which is around the size of another 2-car garage. So a lot of folks are confessing in this poll they have so much stuff that they fill up, can barely get a car in the garage, a 2-car garage, and then they also have another 500 feet dedicated to storage in the house. So if we cleaned out everything, extra space, we could probably we could do a lot better. Anyway, there's your topic of the day, your question of the day. Speaking of your home, I want to remind you of Sherry Cree. Now, she's going to help you. You may think you're not cluttered. You may think you're not piled up, but have Sherry kind of look and say, yeah, why don't we clean this up before we list the home? That would be a great thing, which she can do. But listen, if you're thinking seriously of buying or selling a real estate transaction, you want somebody that has a goal not just to put a sign in your yard or not just to get a deal done, but they want to perform in a way and a focus that really become your realtor for life. Sherry Cree has had people call her 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later and say, hey, Sherry, remember us? We're the Smiths, we're the Johnsons, we're the Gonzalez family, and we want to list our home. We want to move. We're going to use you again. She has those repeat customer testimonials because just that is her entire focus to become your realtor for life. And that's what she wants to do. She wants you to know that every real estate transaction you make, if you make it smartly, wisely, the right time, in the right season, and all that stuff, it can end up bringing about generational wealth that can be transforming for you, your kids, and your grandkids. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, Sherry Cree, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, a great supporter of the program. And listen, in all seriousness, maybe you want to say, hey, where do I start? She can help. She's got white glove service. If you need somebody to help you come in and organize so you can sell, I guarantee you, Sherry can help you figure that out. If you need, it's too overwhelming of a task, Sherry can help you help. She'll help you figure it out. I'm talking white glove service, top to bottom, because she knows the way your home looks, and you may be hesitant to make a real estate transaction because your home looks like hoarders live there. Listen. If you want top dollar, you need somebody like Homes with Sherry, homeswithsherry.com, Sherry Cree to help you get those top dollars. And again, her goal is to become your realtor for life. And she can do that by just talking to you. Now, there's been people that have talked to her, and she told the story of one that she said, okay, we must not have been a match. They didn't ever follow up, and they never returned my call. Then 3 years later, they called her and said, Sherry, we're ready to list the house. She goes, again? I thought no, we never moved. We took your advice and we just backed off and it wasn't the right time for us. Why? Because she wants to help you think the strategy of it in the right time. Again, if you're in Denver, if you're in Boulder, if you're in Wellington, if you're in Windsor, if you're in Erie, if you're in Broomfield, if you're in Longmont, Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, that I-25 corridor, Parker, Aurora, she can help you. Homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. No obligation conversation. Have it with her, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com, and tell her that it's me, Jimmy Lakey, talking about her on the radio and the program, the streamcast. And we are talking on the radio. Don't forget that. People have us on in their cars right now, booming through the speakers like the old days, and I'm on the radio. So, yes, when I say we're on the radio, we're on the radio. We're also on the podcast and the streamcast. I just saw a couple of registration or two pop in the last 24 hours for a casino night. That's coming up May 17th. Producer Chad will be there. I'll be there. I hope you'll be there. It's going to be a great cause, raising money for Rivers Promise, my charity organization. Budget Home Supply is our title sponsor. If you're in the Colorado area, don't forget Budget Home Supply in Longmont. Vernetta Angelo and her family have owned that for a couple of generations now. And they take great care and they can compete with those big box stores, but you're helping out the local guys. Budget Home Supply. And again, if you're looking for decking, this is a great time to do decks, or whatever the case may be. Budget Home Supply is the proud presenter of the Casino Gala. Now, there's tables available, tables of 8. Bring your friends, bring your family. You can register as an individual, but it's all fun. It's a Casino Gala. There's also a poker element tournament. It's all for fun. Now, we're not gambling. This is not an illegal gambling ring. This is just a charity night of fun. We're going to have live music with Derek Evilsizer, who is the best Sinatra. I won't even call him impersonator. I think he's the reincarnation of Sinatra. He will be there. There's a cash bar. It does include food. It's going to be the Omni Interlochen Resort, and it's just over a month away. So we're like tomorrow's a month out. And so the prices start to go up soon. So get registered for that and come be a part of the fun. It's going to be a fantastic night. It's May 17th. It's good Lord willing. We'll be out under a pavilion outside, the beautiful fresh air, fire pits around us, and it's going to be great. It's casino night. You can bring your cigars, and because we'll be outdoors. We're covered, but you know what I'm saying. It'll be nice, warm. It's going to be a classy event. It's going to be great. Rivers Promise Casino Gala. Go register, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Now, I talk a lot about our charity. And yesterday, I don't have the name. I think it was yesterday, the day before. I saw a couple of donations pop in right around the time of the show. Somebody sponsored a child yesterday or the day before. And I saw a couple of donations. Listen, $30 feeds a kid 2 meals a day for 1 month. $30. Do the math. That's about $1 a day, 2 meals a day. $65 provides the food. It also sends that child to school and provides their education, their uniform. It also provides them health insurance. Now, I know some people like the pen pal kids, and you want to write a kid and little Johnny, little Susie. That's usually not the simple names, but you can find them. They'll write you back. They'll thank you. But if you just want to say, Jimmy, I just want to contribute. I just want to help every month. Set up a monthly, $65. You're going to make sure a kid goes to school. $30 is going to feed the kid. $65 is going to feed them and send them to school and provide health insurance, at very top-notch health insurance for them too. It's Cadillac health insurance for Rwanda, and it really is life transformational. So it's a big impact we're making, and I've been very honest with you since the first of the year. It has been a tight time of fundraising. And we're hoping that gets better with Casino Gala. Goals to raise about $50,000. But even today, if you can find it if you feel that little itching part in your heart going, I'll give a couple of bucks. If you can't do the 30, you can do $3. Do it. You get the idea. But whatever you can do, if you feel so led to do so, feel free. We're building Legacy Christian Academy there. There's a great information about that on our website as well. But every amount of donation would be very, very helpful because we are still trying to make up some ground on a daily basis in our fundraising this year. So riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. To those of you who have registered even this morning for the Casino Gala, for those of you that have donated the last couple of days and sponsored the children, I'm assuming it's coming from the show throughout the day because we're now podcasting. Thank you so much. That's why the reminder is right up here behind us. Rivers Promise, Hope for Children. And talking about generational wealth, we're making generational change among these kids. And by the way, if you ever want to go to Rwanda with us, don't just hear me talk about it. let us know. We got a couple of trips coming up this year. Sometimes I go solo. Sometimes I'm actually a great tour guide. I like to take people. Sometimes I don't want to take you because I think you're weird. No, we would love to take you over there and see all the work we're doing. And I've had people get off a bus go, wow, this is real. It's a real deal, my friend. It is a real deal of what we're doing. So riverspromise.org, anything you can do is a blessing, and I appreciate it. And what the book of James say? It says true religion is taking care of the widows and the orphans. And so help us take care of some orphans. Would you do that? We appreciate you doing that. riverspromise.org. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a meme roulette game here we got to play, and this is where we steal memes from all around the internet because we're too lazy and non-creative to make up our own. So here I bring up the globe, and we spin the globe, and we may find it from the four corners of the earth. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here we go. The fact that Hooters... let me pull this up here. The fact that Hooters hasn't launched a home delivery service called Knockers just seems like a missed opportunity to me. I'm sorry, Arloa. It is a missed opportunity. Let's be honest. We are capitalists first, and doggone it, that's a missed opportunity. Round around the world, we call Knockers up, see if we get a delivery. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one know. That's me trying to get my side of the bed covers back from my wife. Any man relate to that? Yeah, I ain't got that problem. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you goes out to the media today for showing us that hard work and achievement can be cheated by unimaginably rich elites. You know what's funny is none of this whole stunt by Bezos to send his girlfriend and Katy Perry up, it has been widespread mocked. I even saw Jenna Bush or whoever hosts on Good Morning America or Today Show. They were laughing at it. It's been really dumb. You know, Katy Perry coming down makes speeches as if she had just changed the world for flying, and it makes me feel the love that's out there. And Oprah's girlfriend, friend, Gayle King, I think is her name, out there. It's just such a revelatory moment, and I'm like, you basically sat on your asses and you didn't change the world, and you got dropped back at 11. It had a little bit of weightlessness and your hair went fluffy, and you had a glamour shot in a blue pantsuit. I thought it was dumb, and I think this Bezos trying to be relevant. You know, you got Elon out there competing with him, saving astronauts and doing real big things, and then you got Bezos out there going, well, I can put my girlfriend up in space. Well, great, Bezos. Give yourself a pat on the hind end for wasting that billions of dollars. Was there anything accomplished by that flight other than arrogance? I mean, Musk is flying stuff. They're learning stuff, right? Yeah, I don't understand. Round around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. You know what it doesn't say in the Constitution? It doesn't say give up your rights to appease crybaby liberals. Yeah, or idiotic governors, stupid legislators. That's not in the Constitution, to give up your rights to appease the crybabies. Good point. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. We go to the four corners of the earth. Oh, this is a great one. There's a picture of Governor Polis, the doofus governor of the state, and I hope this is a real billboard. If it's not, it should be. Welcome to Colorado. I'm Governor Polis, and I have ruined this state. Is there anybody in Colorado that... well, if you could tell me how he's made the state better, feel free to do so. Maybe you don't think he's ruined it, but what will the legacy of Jared Polis be in this state? He's ruined it, in my estimation. I'm here 25 plus years, not too far out of college that I moved here. And have to break the news to you, the last 7 years, Colorado has gone to hell in a handbasket quicker than any time previously. And we've had Democrats around here. We had Hickenlooper was your governor. You had Bill Ritter was the governor. We've had Democrats running the state for a long time. But Jared Polis has decimated and defecated on this state. Yes, I said defecated. Jared Polis has turned this state in many instances into a big pile of poop. And he wants to be the president of the United States. Yeah, sorry, Jared, you have ruined so many things and so many lives by your tyranny. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. A couple more memes in the meme roulette. Notice the difference, how Republicans protest and how Democrats protest. If you're watching the streamcast or podcast, listening to it only, people driving down with American flags hanging out of their car, and there's the Democrats out there burning the Teslas and burning the riots in the city. Yeah, that's true. You Democrats cannot argue with that. Well, it's not all of us. Well, it's most of you. And your people never condemn it. And don't forget your girl Kamala actually was bailing out rioters as quick as they got put in jail in Minneapolis. So don't deny it. Don't pretend. That's not all of us in the Democrat Party. It's the damn woman that you ran for president. She was a part of that. Round and around the world we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I think we might have milked the meme machine dry. Ladies and gentlemen, referring back to my conversation with Laura Carno earlier, our teat allotment has been used for the week on memes, so we cannot, for at least for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to remind you go to this podcast platform of your preference and sign up for the Lakey. Just look up Jimmy Lakey Unleashed. That is this program here. And you can, if you would, listen to it in all of its fine glory anytime. Subscribe, like, listen, and that way if you missed the live stream, you can do that. Jim, one more comment says, I was just told that you are not a hoarder if it all fits in the garage. I disagree. That's fake news there, Jim. If it all fits in the garage is made for the car. And if your car has been, it's kind of like I have so much crap that my kid's bedroom, my kid sleeps in the hall, but I'm not a hoarder because everything fits in the bedroom. Well, the kids sleep in the freaking hallway, so you're a hoarder. Jim, that's fake news. That's fake news. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be a part of the program. If you got questions, want to reach out to us, info@jimmylakey.com. Don't forget to donate at riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. 1hourheatandair.com/Jimmy Lakey. Don't forget Layman Lewis. You talked to Joshua Lewis yesterday. LaymanLewis.com. All the great supporters and the people that love the show. And we appreciate all of you. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back again. In the meantime, go download the Lakey Unleashed podcast and get it subscribed and go watch that Brianne Preston interview about the Booger Cooney virus pincushion that she became and the damage that was done to her as a clinical trial. I am Jimmy Lakey. May God bless you. May God bless America. Jimmy Lakey. Peace.